Okay, we're finally live and we're here with audio. So today, we need to talk about this, right? So for a long time, I've been covering home arcade, more than 4 years now, since 2019, and there's something that I gotta share with you guys, and I just don't feel like I'm being a good content creator by not specifically talking about this situation that's going on. And it is related to why sometimes I don't cover certain content. There's certain content that is happening in the community that I'm just avoiding, and it's not for the reason that you think. It's not drama. We're not here about drama. We're not here to talk about other content creators complaining about other content creators. Don't care. That's not what we're here for. We're talking about how it's very possible that while you are thinking and talking to your friends about certain purchases that you're considering to get, by simply talking about that, you can easily convince yourself that this is the number one thing that you have to think about and talk about in your life. And so let me take you back real quick, and I'm going to get you on track. We're talking about the arcade one-up cabinets in the home arcade space that have come out recently. We got the deluxe cabinet and we got the Final Fight cabinet. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not trying to put myself in a position that I'm better or that I think about things in a different light so that gives me a better advantage. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not here to compare myself to other content creators. I'm just here to tell you the position I'm in. That's an interesting position, and I've been fighting to make this content for a very long time because making this content itself is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Because talking about something like this can convince you to do the thing that you're trying not to do. Okay, so let's get into it. So in 2019, I made this video about the Final Fight. Okay, this is a Final Fight cabinet that came out in 2019. Now, this was early on in me making content, but should they really be worried? Arcade 1-Up Wave 2 releases are starting to make a big splash with online retailers. Did you know all countercades have 2 pack-in games? What are they? Okay, so this is me basically in 2019 going through and talking about the news that's going on in Arcade 1-Up. And it was a lot of fun. I was practicing voiceovers, you know, and I was trying to be a content creator in this space. But what I'm doing is talking about the Final Fight, which was never in my plan to actual purchase. It wasn't in my budget. It wasn't something that I had planned out to buy. Up to this point, in April 2019, I had bought several Arcade 1-Up cabinets, but I bought them at a deal. In this video that I'm showing you on here, what I'm talking about is, at that time, Golden Tee had already came out, but everyone was saying, where is Final Fight? And then we talked about this Capcom stick that came out, and the Capcom stick was something that people were like, wait a second, the Capcom stick is coming out, but there's the Final Fight games that the Arcade 1-Up still hasn't released. I just wanted to cover that. I just wanted to talk about, well, here's this tweet from Arcade 1-Up saying that they want to be transparent as possible, something that they've been saying since 2019, clearly. And they were trying to let people know that, like, we're not giving you the exact reason why the Final Fight machine is not out yet, but sometimes it has something to do. Licensing may play a big role on the releases. Again, all I wanted to do was just talk about the news. I wanted to talk about making, you know, I wanted to make videos about the topics that were going on in the community, whether that was Reddit, whether that was Facebook, you know, in the Arcade 1-Up communities. I thought it was an interesting video to do. And what I did was I broke down, you know, why this would be great and why what people are talking about the game and how it feels to them, you know, the nostalgia behind it. And what did this do? I ended up buying this cabinet. And here I am talking about the Golden Tee cabinet back in 2019, which I say in this video, I'm not buying because I don't like the game. And then years later, I end up buying the Golden Tee XL. Why? Because I talked about it on this channel. And so what I'm trying to talk about, maybe FOMO is what we're talking about. Maybe that's the subject that we're talking about. I'm not really sure. But the fear of missing out, or just simply talking about the excitement of something coming out new, can easily convince you that this is a purchase that you want to get. And with the new deluxe cabinets that have been coming out and this new Fast and the Furious, I could make a video that will end with me buying it. Like, I know myself really well. This is the key thing. Like, if you know yourself well enough, then you have the ability to try to prevent what you are negative at doing, and that is not being able to control your purchases. And so if I was to sit here and talk about all the great things about the Fast and the Furious and why you should totally buy it, I'm gonna buy it too. So let's do it. Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's just jump right into it. So the Fast and the Furious cabinet. What are the reasons why you would want to buy this? Well, I've been talking to B, and he's one of the content creators that I have consumed content for related to Fast and the Furious. Again, I've been preventing myself. It's almost like I'm, what am I trying to say? It's like I'm on a diet. It's like I'm avoiding the calories. I'm only eating carbs. I'm only watching certain content because I know that the content can have an effect on me. So I thought to myself, well, B, he's just talking about how you can play the Fast and Furious games on TechnoParrot on your Ridge Racer. Okay, and he talks about, hey, he's trying to show that it has all these tracks. So let me go in and watch this. He has this long uploaded video that I thought was very well done. But here it is. It's already planting a seed. It's planting a seed that maybe this is the definitive racer cabinet that we all want. Why is that? It has more tracks than Cruisin'? It's the spiritual successor from Cruisin', which is what John D said on that One Update show. Is that all designed to help you believe that the Fast and the Furious is a much better game that you've ever considered? And when you look at the actual tracks, the gameplay that it's in it, you can easily be convinced that the Fast and Furious is actually a much better game than you even remember playing. Is it true? It could be true. It could be true. So that's in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, it only has 2 games, but it's got a ton of tracks. It's got a ton of tracks, right? So that's in my head. And then I'm avoiding all this other content from other content creators because they're given their information on, again, if I consume it, I'm going to like it and I'm going to purchase it. But keep in mind, like we were talking about with that video from back in the day, I had not been buying arcade 1-ups at full price. Look, man, I was just making my videos, my little voiceover videos talking about the countercades and how they got a Dig Dug one coming out. And I kind of put that in the topic of the week when I'm talking about the final fight. And then, taking a look at the PacMan, Space Invaders, these are all the new ones that are coming out. But I'm not going to purchase it, right? I can make content and not have to purchase it. And then even Papa Rat's talking about the Buy Stuff mod is better than Fast and the Furious. Let me see. I don't have that overlay on. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to highlight a comment here. Let's see. Let's hide that. Okay. So Brad is talking about the Buy Stuff mod is better than Fast and the Furious, Daytona, Pole Position, Mario, Hydro Thunder, Spy Hunter. I know! I bought that too! Do you see what I'm saying here? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? I bought Ridge Racer and I bought the Buy Stuff mod. You know why? Because I watched other content creators talk about how great the Buy Stuff mod is and that you don't need the final fight, yet we're here. We're here and we're talking about how, well, you can't play any game like the Fast and Furious on that Buy Stuff mod. That's just an Android puck. It has limitations of what gameplay can actually play. So now you're sitting here comparing the Buy Stuff mod, to the Fast and the Furious. And then, well, everyone else is saying is like, well, $5.99, that's what it's, but I'm not going to buy at $5.99, right? We won't buy at $5.99. We're going to wait for the deals. So when the deal comes, what's going to be the deal then? Are you going to get it when the deal comes out? See, this is the same thinking that I was having before as well. Let me show you this. Now, I can't find the mouse here. So I go back, look at the history because I know myself, but sometimes I forget. So I got to go look back in the history of things. I got my mouse here, and it will never come back because I have it connected to every single computer. And I can't get it to go away. There we go. Let me just go in here. No, I can't do it. Yes, I can. Here we go. So I started thinking about it. What about the Ridge Racer? I bought this. I didn't pay $6.99 for a Ridge Racer. I didn't pay $6.99 for a Ridge Racer. I got it when it was a discount. I got it for $300. Well, if you got it at $300, then why are you getting it $300? And he's like, Papa Brad's saying, I take the Daytona Dreamcast all day long and on the buy stuff. Well, I have the Dreamcast as well. I can play all these games on my Dreamcast. Like, that's not helping. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not helping. I buy everything. Everything. You have to control yourself. You can even use these little techniques like Brad keeps on commenting in this channel to try to show you don't have to spend money. But then he drops about how spending money. He's like, you don't have to spend that money. You can buy this. That's spending money. That's still spending money. I already had a Dreamcast. I already have a mod for a Dreamcast. I have an HDMI mod that has no lag. I can play all those games on an SD card. All of them. And I do. And then I still got Ridge Racer. And then I still got the Buy Stuff mod. But will I get this Fast and the Furious? I don't know if I'll get Fast and the Furious. It's hard, man. It's hard. You can spend less, get way more. And then you can spend a little bit more and get even way more. And then you can spend less and get even way, way more. Do you understand the problem? See? Cyber's like, but it's got linkability. That's right, he's going for the guitars. I put a stupid strap on my guitar, and now my foot touched it, and it was trying to get to come over. But this is tough, man. Like, this is no joke. Like, I'm sitting here not wanting to make this video. Look, it's not drama. Maybe I'm getting excited, you know? Maybe I'm getting excited, but it's not drama, right? I'm just sitting here talking about some of the problems. So let's come back. Let's calm down. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to get through this stream together. We're going to do it together. We're going to get through this, okay? So let's calm down. Fast and the Furious. We're not going to buy it. Hit one in the chat if you're not going to buy it. You're going to resist the urge to press that pre-order button. No matter what I say on here, it's not going to convince you that it's worth it. If you already purchased it, that's on you. That's on you, okay? Let's go to the next reason why you would totally want to buy it, even though we're not going to buy it. 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 So John D was saying that this stick has been upgraded. Okay? Do I need to button my shirt? I'll button my shirt. I think it got undone. Or should I just take it off? Should I just take it off? It's getting hot in here. So let's take off all our clothes. Okay, so check this out. We got the Fast and the Furious, and this is supposed to come with this same Blitz magnet technology. Like it's a 49-way stick or something like that. Because John D on that One Up show, he says, and maybe other content creators have been covering this. Again, I love all you creators, but I hate myself. I will buy stuff if I watch your content. And if you're sitting here thinking that I'm going to convince you to buy things you shouldn't buy, then maybe you shouldn't watch it, okay? But here's the deal. I got to talk through this. The show's for me just as much as it is for you. It's going to hurt me more than it hurts you. I don't know what I'm talking about. Check this out. And this is my first sip. There's even Buy Stuff's here. Buy Stuff's here sitting here going like, why don't you buy stuff? We're Buy Stuff, and your job is to buy stuff. See, their name is Buy Stuff, but they also want you to buy stuff. Do you understand? Like, they have buy stuff. They have stuff you want to buy, and they want you to buy stuff. And it doesn't matter. My camera's really blurry? What's going on? I don't know. I don't know why it's blurry. You just deal with it, okay? Their name is the command, right? So here's the thing. They're going to make options for everything. So buy stuff. You might want to go check out Buy Stuff because they're going to make you buy stuff. That's for sure. Let's talk about it. So they got this stick over here, which is going to increase the compatibility for more games that you can buy with Buy Stuff. You know Buy Stuff is already working on a mod so that you can play even more games. If you buy Fast and Furious, they're going to make you buy more stuff. And that's what we're talking about here. Everyone wants to buy stuff. Okay, so I'm sitting here going, how is this different than Ridge Racer? Well, I only paid $300 for Ridge Racer, and Buy Stuff has these additional mods that allow you to expand the type of games that you can play on it. But in the end of the day, it's not going to be able to play something like Fast and the Furious, which was ported. It was ported, right? So there's going to be some enhancements that you're going to find in the Arcade 1-Up that will make it unique in the emulation space. Now, of course, you can go buy an original cabinet, and you're going to have all the fun in the world by buying an original cabinet and owning an original one, stand up or sit down. But let's talk about the Arcade 1-Up. The Arcade 1-Up is not going to come with the keyboard. I don't know how they're managing game save. If it's just, I don't know, by initial, or it doesn't game save or whatever. But I don't know. That's kind of an interesting thing, because I'm sure you're going to come up with an answer, and the answer is going to be really good, and the answer is going to make me want to buy it. I'll tell you that. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not my goal. My goal is not to want to buy stuff, even though I like Buy Stuff. I also like Arcade 1-Up, but I kind of don't want to buy stuff, if that makes sense. Okay, so that, literally, I walked over to my Blitz. I started playing it. And while I'm playing Blitz, did you know other cabinets can haunt you into buying new cabinets? You can walk over to your Blitz right now, and your Blitz will convince you that you should buy the Fast and the Furious. Did you know that? And this is how it happens. You walk over to your Blitz Arcade 1-Up cabinet, and you start feeling that joystick. And you feel how good that joystick is. And then you start imagining, once you get the imagination in, it's all over. It's all over once you get the imagination in. And you start imagining, man, that Blitz stick, what if that was a little gear shift? What if that Blitz stick was used to be able to shift to the different gears of your game? Boy, that would be enjoyable, right? And now it makes you want, now every single time you play the Blitz, it's haunting you. It's haunting you and saying, oh, isn't that feel good? That joystick, that 49-way stick, that magnetic technology, it feels better than any Arcade 1-Up cabinet that has ever come out to this point. And guess what? They put that stick, supposedly, according to what John D says, they put this on the Fast and the Furious. So that's number 2. I'm sitting here going, wow, the gameplay, a lot of tracks. It's got the Blitz stick or some variant of it that's got this great technology. It's going to make me pull it in. Next point. On the video, they started talking about how this is a port. They didn't say it's an HD port. The Blitz cabinet's an HD port. So let's talk about that. What is an HD port for Arcade 1-Up? Well, high definition starts at 720p. Okay, but that's 16:9, whatever. The Arcade 1-Up, the LCD on those BOE monitors is 960p. Now, to date, my understanding is the only cabinet that is actually producing a 960p raw output from the LVDS directly from the gameplay is Blitz. It's like this HD remaster. Now, if you take a look at the Blitz game, what I think they're doing is all of the vector graphics that are drawn, mainly the characters and a couple objects that are on there, are vector scaled. So in other words, they can actually draw it on a 960p canvas and it'll look really good. And you look at the Blitz, and it looks rich, and I think it's mainly the characters, but the actual like football field, I think that's a picture, and it's the original asset, and it's been stretched. But your eyes aren't usually focused on the Blitz play field; it's focused on the players, and that's why it looks so good. The Blitz Arcade 1-Up cabinet looks very good because it's a HD remastered port. Well, what about the Fast and the Furious? They mentioned this on the video. And they said it's a 480. It matches the native resolution of the original game, 480p. But of course, we know this monitor is a 960p monitor, so there's going to be integer scaling to go from the 480 to the 960. So it's got a 2x scale in it, and that's probably just happening right on the PCB. Much like all of the other Street Fighters, that are out there that output at 480p and then they double scale it, or some games are 240p and they quad scale it. It's not an HD port, but will it look good? Will we see some footage and the footage doesn't look bad? But I warn you right now, because this is what I'm taking in. I have one big concern, and the big concern is it's only 30 frames per second. So they mentioned that on that 1UP show. John D said it's running at 30 frames per second. Now I've been told that cruising runs at 30 frames per second. I want to know if that's true. I didn't do the research, but I've been told by other people, hey, cruising runs at 30 frames per second in the arcade. Like the machine is drawing only 30 frames per second. Well, I've also been told that the Fast and the Furious is 60 frames per second. It's the spiritual successor to the original Cruisin', but just with a lot more tracks on it. So it sounds like there is some type of compromise on this cabinet. The compromise is that it's running at 30 frames per second. So this gives me a huge question. Is that going to make a difference? Is there going to be a difference in this gameplay in such a way where if you started playing this game and you looked at its 30 frames per second and you're like, nah, dog, this was much better when it was like a 60 frames per second game, and the arcade 1UP version ends up being crap? Is that true? Because that it needed to be 60 frames per second. Now, why is it only 30 frames per second? Is it because the PCB that they end up using on the arcade 1UP cabinet is not a high enough quality to be able to do the full 60 frames per second? Now, JJ was saying racing games play way better and look way better on Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. And again, like half the price for a racer cab, and you can play online. And so that leads me to another thing. Why is it that this arcade 1UP cabinet, this Fast and the Furious cabinet, I'm covering up, you guys, I'm behind here, but that's okay. I can be behind your messages, that's fine. This Fast and the Furious cabinet is linkable. It's linkable, but only locally. What does that mean? Now, I did some thoughts on what technology they're probably using behind the scenes to make it linkable. And I want to talk about that just for a second. So, the linkability is clearly this. You can connect it through Ethernet. You can connect it to your Wi-Fi, your wireless signal. I still think there is a negotiation on the back end. I believe they're using the same technology for all of their co-op games. So that peer-to-peer technology has a server that negotiates all of the IP address stack, your NAT address, your local address, your port number. All of that information gets exchanged with another person. And if I were to build that technology, and if a company said, look, Rothrill says, look, we can only do local. And if Rothrill said, look, this game was never designed to have any latency in the communication channel between the 2, 3, 4 machines or 8 machines of the original machine, it's like it has to be connected and interchange communication messages with the other cabinets instantaneously. You won't be able to play this online. You won't be able to play this over the internet. The latency will be too high. Okay, if I was the developer of the arcade 1UP peer-to-peer technology and Rothrill says it's not possible unless it has zero lag, I would still use exactly the technology that is used on, Street Fighter, for Marvel vs. Capcom. It's still the same technology. But in the communication, when they're shaking hands, you would say, only allow this connect to people on the local network. Do not allow it to be a cross-play over the internet. still connected to the internet. Just because of those limitations, they'd be like, it basically has to be a local address for them to be able to actually play co-op. And so I'm like, okay, that means the only way to be able to play these games is if I buy multiple. So in other words, I'm probably never going to be able to play this on local play. Now, for those that are really interested in a truly linkable cabinet, I mean, this is true if you bought a full-size arcade, right? If you buy a full-size arcade and you want to play multiple online, then, I'm sorry, not multiple online, but if you want to link them, then you have to have multiple machines. It's not like I can have a machine and then I'm going to play, you know, to another arcade, like real time with these Fast and the Furious cabs. I mean, they were only designed to be local. But it would have been cool. It would have been cool to be able to play Fast and the Furious in some type of competitive way with other people in this community, friends that you may have. That would have been cool. But I don't know if that's just never possible with these older games. Like, you basically have to build that from the ground up. Like, do you have to build some type of, I don't know, like a buffer, a latency, delay, some type of peer-to-peer cross-play correction? You know, MG says they don't have packet inspection router in that PCB. It's going to be straight Ethernet port or Wi-Fi. You'll be able to route it over VPN if you really want, but it will suck and on your own. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, MG, but I think what it is the turn server. Is that what it's called? There's stun and turn, and one of them is meant for where the backend is actually relaying the messages over the server, and the other one is just straight peer-to-peer. And so there's a backend server that you say, this is my network stack, right? And the other machine is like, well, this is my network stack, and it actually sends it to the other person and basically says, this dude's got a port open on his NAT address, so just send messages over UDP directly to that port address. And so, but all the server would have to do is just filter for, private addresses and be like, don't relay to anyone else unless basically you can't use the NAT address to be able to communicate. You can only use the private network addresses. And so there's still likely a central server, and unless they're using some type of discovery mode, like your straight up discovery mode, or a local UDP broadcast message to be like, I'm alive. Any other Fast and the Furious is here on this subnet. And if they respond, we're like, hey, I'm here, then maybe it could be completely local play. But they've also said that this is going to have leaderboards, right? So it's going to have leaderboards to be able to publish your high score onto the backends. I don't know how many different varieties of, is it like unlocked achievements? Like if you've see, here it is. Like I'm sitting here trying to convince myself, or just even speculating about how that'll work. Like I'm kind of getting excited about the possibilities of that leaderboard. Like think about it. Like the leaderboard, this game has all these like achievements on it, right? So right here, can I point at it? Right here, let me switch cameras. So right here, if you think about this game having leaderboards, but we also know it has tons of tracks. It has all this unlockability on it where you can play the different levels, the different game, and you can power up your hardware. Are all of those going to turn into different leaderboard achievements that you can then try to best your friend? And so part of this is the big question that I have for the entire show. Like, why is it that we have this desire to be able to play these home arcades? What is it that iArcade or AtGames or Arcade1Up provide to this community? And it's something that I've been asking myself for years, and I don't know the answer. I can speak for myself, but I can kind of try to look at the community and try to understand what it is that, why they would want it, why they would like it. And so here's one of the things that I thought about. Let's dig into FOMO. Let's just talk about it for a second. Is it possible that there's nothing wrong with FOMO? Is part of the experience of the home arcade is the community and the friendships that have been garnered or over the years, the content creators that you watch, that you feel like you have a friendship with, and so you look at the community and go, I want to enjoy it too. It's kind of like a fear of missing out, but maybe it's not a fear. Maybe it's, I also want to enjoy this community. I also want to participate. I've been thinking about it this way. Like, I get into pinball, and I'm trying to understand the pinball community. And the pinball community is different. I mean, there's local tournaments here in Des Moines that I could join, and I've met up with them, and I've chatted with them. I didn't play because I was like, I just want to observe. So I was observing their gameplay, and it looked like a lot of fun. And they were quickly like, come into the family, right? Come in. It's the water's warm. And so they invited me. They're like, yeah, every month we do this. We get together. It's super casual, you know. So they're very like open to people joining the community. And it didn't look like there was any like, you know, it didn't look like anyone was being mean. You know, they were trying to be open. I don't know what other words I'm trying to explain. But anyway, now I'm looking at this community, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about it, but is it the fact that sometimes people will analyze and look at these games and figure out whether it's something that they want to get, and they break it down and they say, okay, the screen, let's see, it's 240, 960. They said it's a BOE. It's a deluxe, so I bet that Marquee is going to be higher quality. It's got leaderboards. I bet it will be fun to play it online. It's only got 2 games, except for it has a lot of tracks. It's going to have a little stick on it. I'm curious, like, when you go in and, like, fill out your name on it, is it going to be like Ridge Racer, where you have to do it with the steering wheel? Or because they have a joystick, will the joystick have a play in it? So there could be, like, a little bit of the technology side of this. Like, the technology is like, are you interested because of the technology? Are you also interested in it because there's a community of people that are like you, that are like me, that are enjoying this hobby, and you see their posts, you see their comments online, and you see them enjoying this community. And maybe you're sitting here wondering, like, maybe I just want to enjoy this game as well with the rest of the people. So one way, when I ask myself these type of questions, I try to get to the answer is, well, let's remove it for a second. Let's try to remove it. Let's detach the community from your purchase for a second. Imagine in the last 4 years, you, as a viewer of this video, or a viewer of any other content creator on YouTube or Reddit or Facebook, wherever you consume your social media, detach it for a second. Imagine the history of this community, or imagine, what am I trying to say? Imagine you still purchased all of the home arcade, but you never talked to anyone about it. You never watched any content about it. Do you see where I'm going? Truly, ask yourself that question. If there was no Facebook community, if there was no Reddit, if there was no YouTube community, if there was literally no one in the world talking about it, and you just went to the Best Buy or the iArcade store or the AtGames store, and you just purchased it completely on your own, by yourself, you never played online with anybody, would you still have exactly the same amount of fun? If the answer is yes, then you don't need the community. If the answer is yes, then the community is either something that really annoys you, or it's a cherry on top, right? But if you're like, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same. It's part of the experience. The fact that there are these various communities that are talking about this topic. It's a part of the experience that I follow Reddit, and I get involved, and I comment here and there. It's a part of the experience on Facebook that people post those stupid pictures of them taking a picture of the cabinet they just picked up, and then you go, it's so stupid, I'm gonna do it too. You know why? Because it's become a thing. It's become a thing in the community that I now smile about. Where at first I thought it was just dumb and ridiculous, but then I did it myself and I realized it's just fun. And then you start to realize that this itself is a part of the experience. That perhaps without there being local tournaments, there wouldn't be a pinball community. That without having access to be able to go to the arcades on a regular basis in your area, whether free play, coin in with the cards, whatever, if that didn't exist, there wouldn't be that. That's kind of weird. If it didn't exist, it wouldn't exist, right? But what if all of this is a part of the experience? Is there anything wrong with that? I don't know. Hit 1 in the chat if you understand what I'm talking about. Hit 0 if just you're like, this is the dumbest video I've ever heard of. But I'm sitting here wondering this exact question, and then I make that reflection of coming back to this. Am I avoiding purchasing this because I don't want to spend the money? Am I afraid that I won't enjoy it? Am I avoiding purchasing this cabinet because of the temperature of the community and some problem I have in the community? Or is it, this is a deluxe cabinet and they're just going to get me again? Who's going to get you again? Arcade 1-Up for just making another cabinet that you will play with for a while and then you won't play for a while, and then you'll pick it up again and play it a lot. And then friends will come over and you'll play it. Look, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here, to be responsible for the purchases that you make. We all have to be responsible for ourselves. That's what we got to do. I have no obligation to say this or that to make you feel better. You have no obligation to me as well. But as a community, I enjoy it. I enjoy the community. I respect those in the community for their opinion. I respect those in the chat for their opinion. I try to highlight even the ones I disagree with. And maybe I'll call them out for what I disagree with. But I want to be straight. Like, I am struggling with this cabinet. It's not necessarily a negative thing for this struggle. Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, I kind of want it, but I'm trying to hold back. And the reason why I'm trying to hold back is because it wasn't in my plan. And I know myself that I end up spending too much money. Now, I'm never in a position, like there's people that criticize Michael B because he took out a loan for Godzilla. I don't really see it that way. Like, I think he had a really hard time explaining that. I think what Michael B meant to say, let me try to explain the way Michael B explained it to me, and then even when he explained it to me, I was like, it sounds really weird. Can I explain it back to you? And Michael B, this is basically Michael B went to see if he could afford a new pinball machine. And his wife and him had a conversation and said, yeah, but we have a lot of interest on various things that we've purchased recently. And if we do a little debt consolidation, we'll be ahead of the game. We can reduce our interest that we're spending on these various things. We can get ahead of it. And then if there's enough money in that budget that says you can buy a pinball machine, then you can buy a pinball machine. But everyone focused on he got a loan for a pinball machine because it sounds super sexy. But he kept on using this phrase that I never hear. I don't even remember it because it's not a phrase that I use very often. But yeah, maybe he's got some credit card debt that's really high, 21% interest rate, and he got a loan against his house or something that brought it to like a 7%. He's able to pay it off, but then now it's this small fee, and then he's unlocked money. I don't know. Whatever. That's his thing. But the point I'm making, if you're not harming anyone with your purchases, your family's not like saying that you're an addict, like, and it's actually causing a problem, and you're able to control whatever this hobby is in a way that's constructive and it's not, again, not hurting anyone, then do what you want, man. do what you want. And for me, I have to make my own choices. And for now, I'm not going to buy the Fast and the Furious, mainly sticking to it because I have this tendency recently with the Golden Tee, and I got upset about that. The Golden Tee was a purchase that I regretted, and it was a game that even when I look back at this video that I made, now this is just wow. We're talking about GameSack now. I think how many videos did it automatically play? But in this video, I talk about the Golden Tee. It's from 2019. And this Golden Tee was not something I wanted to purchase. And it says right in the video, I don't have any nostalgia for this game at all. But I ended up purchasing the Golden Tee XL later, as you guys who follow me closely know. And I regretted that. And so I think by reflecting, you can know yourself well. And you can try to prevent yourself to going down a dark path that you don't want to go in. And honestly, I want to thank you guys all in this community, all of those that listen to this rant. And, the main thing that I want to say is I appreciate you listening to me about this. And the reason why is because this is going to help me. This was a way for me to kind of just like, I don't know if it's like breaking down the fourth wall or something like that. I don't even know. Like, I'm just telling you my struggles exactly from the perspective that I see it. And that is, I'm struggling talking about this cabinet because I'm afraid if I make content on it, it's only going to convince me to buy it when maybe I don't need it. I don't know. I don't know, if you see me later make a post that I ended up buying it, maybe I'm weak, maybe I'm not. Is there anything wrong with it? I don't know. I'm just on a purchase freeze right now because, again, I've said this before, the industry that I'm in right now has a lot of layoffs. And it's going to be a tough year. I mean, Google's laying off people, Facebook's laying off people, the company I work for is laying off people, and it's going to be tough. So I'm avoiding making any bigger purchases in the next month until I know for sure that I got a job, right? And so that's one of the main reasons why I like, hey, it's only $600, but it's still like you got to draw the line, right? At some point, you got to draw the line and be like, right now, it would be unwise for me to go any further. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out in the video. Appreciate you. If you have anything major that you really want to talk about, please do so in the comments after the video. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to highlight the chat so much. And also, I'm trying to make my content shorter. A lot of people have been mentioning that I make live streams a lot. They're very long, and it's difficult to watch all of them. It upsets them that they can't. So I'm going to try to lower the amount of content that I'm making. But I really appreciate you hearing me out on this video. See you guys. Take care.